sons. Tonight, you have learned the final and greatest truth of the ninja. That ultimate mastery comes not of the body, but of the mind.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes. A couple of years ago, I was singing the praises of IDW's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Had a pretty cool feel to it. It was like if the cartoon met the Mirage series and they had a baby, maybe it would be something like this IDW that Tom Waltz and Kevin Eastman were doing together. And I don't know, leading up into City of War, it just went to a snail's pace, just got really slow and boring.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was obvious that they were padding some space to get to issue 100, and there was going to be a new creator. Sophie Campbell was going to come on and be the creator then. It was fine. Sophie Campbell had done some stuff on micro series in the past. The art was always good. It was whatever. Let's see what the new series does. And it's just been unreadable. And here to talk to me about that is my good friend Mark Pellegrini, comic book writer. And he's also, you had your own TMNT website for a long time, keeping track of canon.
Yeah, and eventually once I started writing, actual comic books and making money off of those, something had to go on my timetable, and so TMNT Entity, my website, I had to stop updating it. But I mean, I summarized, read, and reviewed every IDW book up through, I think I cut it off somewhere in the mid-'80s during the Triceraton invasion arc. So I think I made it through to the end of that. And so the IDW comic book, I mean, it was honestly very good. It was like ultimate TMNT. They brought in elements from the 80s cartoon, the Mirage comic, even the 2003 cartoon. They brought in characters like Hun and Angel and stuff like that. I think Tom Waltz's and his editor, Bobby Curnow, their one fault during that run, as you mentioned, it was a pacing issue. They introduced a lot of plot points, and it could be years before they ever followed up on any of them. Like Madame Null, who they introduced in the Mutanimals miniseries back in 2015. The only follow-ups on that is like every couple of years they remind us that she exists, and they still haven't, addressed that storyline, that dangling plot thread. They just keep reminding us that this character exists. There were pacing problems since the beginning. What happened in the first 4 issues of IDW's Ninja Turtles? Wrath is missing. They get into a street fight with Hobbs' goons. They find Wrath and take him home. That's one issue's worth of content, but it was spread out over 4 issues. There's a point, I think it's around like issues 7 or 8. It takes 3 issues for the Shredder to move from where he's standing. He does his big grand entrance where he's like on a stage and Karai points him out because that's the reveal of the Shredder for the book. And 3 issues go by and he's still standing there because the pacing is so slow. So that's been a problem with the book since the beginning, is that it has lethargic pacing. But even then, though the pacing was slow, the content was always very interesting. I had kind of a Twin Peaks X-Files approach, a mystery box, I guess, where they're introducing all these really tasty morsels of plot threads, and you want to learn more. And so it kept you on the hook. It really did start to decompress to a breaking point, like you said, mostly around like the Triceraton invasion arc. Which was just when you add in the TMNT Universe tie-in issues, I think that thing got bloated out to like a 10-issue saga, and it just wouldn't stop. And then City at War, which you kind of expect because that was the run from issue 90 to issue 100, the big, finale for Tom Waltz's run in the book. So you kind of expect it to go. It's just it has that problem where it's a lot of issues and not enough content to fill those issues. But even then, it still felt like Ninja Turtles, right? It was still TMNT, even if it was going a little slow.
Yeah. It did. It just went to crap. It hasn't felt like TMNT in a long time. There's virtually no action. It's not really about the original Turtles anymore. It's about this new character, Jennica, and it's about like running a soup kitchen, getting a band together, and all these things that you would never expect to find in a TMNT comic book, and you certainly wouldn't expect TMNT fans that are shelling out their money to actually want. Like, that's not the story that they want. It's crazy.
No, it's not. And, I mean, I have some numbers here, but you can see the sales numbers dropping since 100. And, yes, it is not what TMNT fans want to read, and so they're not reading the book anymore. There's a big creative team shift after issue 100. Tom Waltz, who was the main writer for 100 issues, left to do other projects, and Campbell took over. Campbell was previously an artist, but also took over art and writing duties. And Campbell had a very different approach to what they wanted a Ninja Turtles comic to be. And they wanted to be like a slice of life anime. So we have Mutant Town, where a bunch of humans that got transformed into mutants by Old Hob are basically kept in a ghetto. And there's a whole bunch of social commentary and allegory in there that I won't get into. But that's what the book became. So the book was already really slow. We just talked about its pacing problems. What it needed to do after 100 was hurry the fuck up. Like, readdress those plot points that have been dangling for, how many years is 20 issues of a comic? That's almost 2 years of waiting, so plot points that hadn't been addressed for 20 issues or more than that for 2 years, people have been waiting on. The book needed to hurry up. They just had a creative shift. Now was the time, issue 101, to speed things up and get to the points. And instead, it did the opposite, down even more. And nothing is happening. It's just a slice of life thing about these characters, mostly Jennica, the fifth turtle, who I'll get into in a minute, just bumming around Mutant Town, preparing for the Battle of the Bands, trying to put a soup kitchen together. It's a lot of little quirky back and forth, and nothing is happening. It's boring. It's not Ninja Turtles. Now, Ninja Turtles have had...
brothers are just depressed because Splinter's gone.
Because Splinter's gone, and so
talk to each other, and they're completely unfunctional.
No, and that's the thing, is that Ninja Turtles has slice of life in it because they're a family, and so I enjoy seeing what they do down in the layers when they're down the layer and they're hanging out. There's a great one-shot issue during Waltz's run that was a Christmas issue, and it had no action in it. It was just all the characters, the Turtles, and all their friends getting together and having a Christmas party. It's like when the X-Men have a baseball issue where there's no action, it's just the X-Men playing baseball. But you get one of those every 2 years. That's not the whole series. But that's what Ninja Turtles became after issue 100. It just became this plodding slice of life Dullsville comic. And the thing is that I know a lot of people have been hanging in there thinking that it's going to turn around, that it's going to pick back up, and it's going to find the plot again, it's going to find its action again, and it's going to reorient itself, it's going to course correct. And I'm sorry to say, it's not.
The weird thing, Mark, is this is all about Jennica right now in TMNT, but there's also a second series just called Jennica.
Yeah, so
how much of this character do we need?
Let me share my screen real quick. I just want to show you what last month's Ninja Turtles haul looked like. This is what my Ninja Turtle haul looked like last month. You can have any Ninja Turtle comic you want as long as it's about Jennica. She is the new star of Ninja Turtles and has been since Campbell took over. And there's a reason why Campbell made Jennica the star of the book, to the point of pushing the actual Ninja Turtles, Leonardo, Michelangelo, Donatello, Raphael, pushing them to the sidelines and at points out of the book entirely. And how the only companion title is also about Jennica. And there's a reason for that. The reason is Jennica is Campbell's DeviantArt OC character that they created before they started getting professional work for IDW on Ninja Turtles. So now, just to go back further, Jennica as a character used to be a human character and was introduced back during the Northampton arc, which is in the number 20s. And so Jennica as a character has existed in the IDW book for almost as long as it's existed. The problem is that Jennica never got a personality. She was just always there. So even by the time she got mutated into the fifth turtle, she was basically a blank slate. She was this character that had existed for 60 issues, was never interesting, never developed a personality, was just there. And so okay, well, we need a girl turtle. Okay, let's just take this dead weight character who's hanging around and basically merge her with Artemisia, who was Campbell's DeviantArt OC. And I've heard people say that Artemisia was Campbell's self-insert character, as most DeviantArt OCs are. I don't know if that's true or not, but it has all the earmarks of a self-insert OC. But basically, Campbell, who designed Jennica, I know that Waltz was writing during City at War when Jennica was mutated, but Campbell was the one who designed Jennica for the book behind the scenes. Basically turned Jennica into Campbell's self-insert DeviantArt OC character. Got some more pictures of that. Whereas Jennica, the fifth turtle, Jennica, the fifth turtle, Jennica, the fifth turtle, Cold Steel, the fifth turtle, nothing personnel, kid. That's basically what Jennica comes off as. Jennica is Cold Steel, the fifth turtle. Just one of those really on-the-nose DeviantArt OC palette swap characters. And that would be tolerable, you know, in a way, if Jennica was just a side character again. Like, there have been other fifth turtles. We've had Slash, we've had Metalhead, the robot fifth turtle, even Venus de Milo, female fifth turtle, was created for Ninja Turtles: The Next Mutation, the live-action TV series in the 90s, in which I went back and I watched, and that show's not good. But to my surprise, Venus de Milo was not the worst thing about that show. That show had worse problems. There was even Eastman and Laird planned on creating a fifth turtle for the live-action movie series named Kirby, you know, after Jack Kirby, because he's up there with Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo as one of the greatest artists of all time, at least according to them. So, I mean, there's a history of bonus turtles. But the thing is that Slash and Metalhead and all them, they're all just extra turtles who show up sometimes, you know. Toka, he shows up, he's a turtle, but he just shows up sometimes. Jennica took over the book, and the book became the Jennica Show with special guest appearance from the Ninja Turtles. And that's obnoxious when you've been reading the book for 100 issues, and then suddenly the characters you care about are pushed out or sidelined for the writer-artist's literal DeviantArt self-insert OC character, Do Not Steal, who is now the star of the book. It's a massive ego problem to do something like that. You know, imagine if so IDW relaunched Sonic the Hedgehog, right? And Ian Flynn, who previously wrote Sonic for Archie, took over Sonic for IDW, but it was a reboot. Imagine if Ian Flynn introduced a new character named Eel Finn, an anthropomorphic fish character. And Eel Finn is super cool and super capable. He's faster than Sonic. He's cooler than Sonic. And he just pushes Sonic and Tails and Knuckles out of the book and into the sidelines. And all of a sudden, this book that's titled Sonic the Hedgehog is about Ian Flynn's obvious DeviantArt OC self-insert character, Eel Finn. That would be awful, wouldn't it? People would hate that. That book would be terrible. Well, that's what happened in Ninja Turtles. The book titled Ninja Turtles is no longer about the Ninja Turtles as we know them. It's now about Campbell's DeviantArt self-insert OC character as the main character. And whenever Jennica's not around, the other characters ask, "Where's Jennica?" It's literal cousin Oliver, Scrappy-Doo, Poochie kind of thing. And it's been this way for 16 issues. It's not going to stop. It's not going to change. It's not going to course correct. This book is about Jennica now.
Sales are trending downward. We already saw the spreadsheet.
Yeah, we haven't. I don't think I've shown it on my screen share yet. So to talk about that real quick, let me screen share again. So I want to talk first about IDW's Ghostbusters comic. Now, IDW's Ghostbusters comic, it always did kind of average numbers because Ghostbusters is more niche a franchise than Ninja Turtles. But I got these numbers from Comic-Con. These are the units sold to retailers, to vendors. So just because 21,223 copies of TMNT Ghostbusters #1 were sold to vendors, that doesn't mean that actually made it to customers. It's just how many the retailers bought. So just getting that out of the way. But not counting, so Ninja Turtles Ghostbusters did really good numbers, but that's because it was a crossover between two big multimedia franchises. Ghostbusters International is part of the main series, and so Ghostbusters average numbers are around 9,000, and it would drop a bit as you went through. So from Ghostbusters International, and by the time we get to International #10, it was down to like 5,000, and then did another Ninja Turtles Ghostbusters crossover, and that boosted those numbers again into like the 12,000s, trending at about 10,000. But then when the book became just the Ghostbusters again, starting with Ghostbusters 101 #1, that was when the book added the 2016 reboot characters from Ghostbusters Answer the Call, the female Ghostbusters team. That movie flopped. It did incredibly poorly. It was badly reviewed. Fans hated it. It's become such a punching bag. It was just a bad movie. But those characters were added to the book as main characters, starting with Ghostbusters 101. They joined the cast. Holtzman and Leslie Jones's character and all them, they became part of the book alongside Peter, Ray, Winston, and Egon. And while they relaunched it at a new #1 at 8,000, those numbers dropped pretty quick. By issue 5, it was at 5,000 again. The Ghostbusters 101 trade paperback only sold 582 copies. IDW followed that up with Ghostbusters Answer the Call, like a mini-series about these characters, and just look at those numbers plummet. 6,000, 4,000, 3,000, and that trade paperback only sold 470 copies. But even after 10 straight issues of just falling numbers, basically the readers, the customers telling IDW, we don't like these characters, we don't want them in the book, please stop putting them in the book, we're not going to read it. IDW kept them in the book, and then Ghostbusters Crossing Over happened, which was another huge storyline that revolved around the Answer the Call team. And again, #1s always have higher numbers, but look at that drop-off from 6,000 to 4,000 by the second issue. And by the time Crossing Over ended, they are down to 3,610 units. That's worse numbers than what the Answer the Call spin-off miniseries was doing. Like, these characters from the 2016 Ghostbusters movie were killing this book, and IDW just would not let them go because they added them to the book as some sort of ideological thing. I mean, we all remember the fervor around the 2016 reboot where they called anybody who, criticized it a man baby or a misogynist or a sexist. Like, this was not about the movie or the characters, the quality of the product. It was about ideology. It's basically their religion, and they weren't going to recant on their religion. The same way, a martyr will sooner be burned at the stake than take the Lord's name in vain than to recant on their religion. Well, IDW was more than willing to let the Ghostbusters book die, let the sales ebb from it, 1,000 copies by 1,000 copies every month until they couldn't justify paying the license anymore. And even after the book stopped using the Answer the Call characters regularly as main cast members, they still included them. So they followed that up with the 25th anniversary miniseries, which included an Answer the Call issue. And those numbers dropped even more to 3,555. They got a brief upsurge with another franchise crossover with Transformers, but as soon as that was over and the Ghostbusters book went back to being just about the Ghostbusters, those numbers never recovered. 6,000, 5,000, 5,000, and no data on Ghostbusters Year 1, #4, because that was April 2020 when everything shut down. But that was the last issue of IDW's Ghostbusters. In fact, they solicited a trade paperback collection on Amazon, and they never published it. So you can still find the placeholder on Amazon. Now it's saying January 2nd, 2079 as its publication date. That's just something Amazon does when they keep the listing there, but they know they're not going to publish the book. But the point is that IDW will let a book fail month after month until it has no readers left to justify the cost of printing it. They will sooner do that than course correct the book to turn it back into something that readers want to read and want to buy. And that's the fate of the Ninja Turtles comic. This Jennika's Battle of the Bands, Soup Kitchen stuff, it's not going away. The book isn't going to be the way it used to be. It's not going to go back to being like what folks out there want from a Ninja Turtles comic. This Jennica co-starring the Ninja Turtles is what the book is. And if you look at the sales numbers on Ninja Turtles, we go back to issue number 90, around the start of the City at War arc. It was doing 9,800 numbers. Shredder in Hell, #1, 16,540. And it was hovering around those numbers, 9,000, 10,000, etc. But it was starting to gain steam because, on the road to issue 100, a big milestone collector's issue is going to gain steam. And then issue number 95 is the issue where Jennica was mutated. And the first printing of it did a little bit better than the other ones. It did 15,000. But once the speculator market hit, and like, oh my God, a fifth turtle named Jennica, a female turtle, did almost as well, 13,942. So altogether, number 95 did 29,000 issues. And then, of course, number 96, because it was still like riding that speculator boom, got a second printing, and it did almost the exact same amount total, 29,353. And so they were able to ride that 38,000 for issue number 97, 34,000 for 98, 21,000 for 99, and of course issue 100, the big milestone issue, 53,954, almost 54,000 copies. But that's because it was issue number 100. Every collector wants to get their hands on that. But then issue number 101, 20,000. So the speculator boom doesn't last. We all know that. We all know that bubble bursts eventually. And the numbers just plummet fast after this. 101 was 20,000, 102 was 13,000, 103 got a boost of 15,000. Jennica number 1 did 21,000 because it was a number 1. Jennica number 2 did 12,000. Like, number ones don't mean anything. And these numbers just kept going down, and then we hit April 2020 when everything shut down, and with Diamond no longer being the main distributor of comics, we don't have reliable numbers anymore, which may be to IDW's advantage to save face, because now we can't openly see what kind of numbers they're doing. The last projection we got was issue number 109, which estimated between 12,500 and 16,000. I would say it's probably closer to the 12,500 because the last time we had
I would say it's under that.
It probably
I've seen real numbers for a lot of books, and they don't meet the minimum threshold a lot of times.
Yeah, because the last time we got real numbers on the ongoing, on Campbell's run on the ongoing, it was 14,000, and it's not doing 16,000 anymore. And then we're up.
No,
to
it's not doing 12,000 either. I'm telling you, the numbers are lower.
It's probably closer to what Ninja Turtles was around TMNT number 90, 9,800, and it's just dropping more and more. But IDW is not going to course correct this. It's just going to stay that way until the book can no longer justify its existence anymore, and then they'll cancel it. But that's because they've attached their ideology. The book is about the new female fifth turtle, and if you don't like it, you're a misogynist or a sexist or whatever. The Ghostbusters 2016 effect, where don't address any of the actual points of contention that have context and that have substance to them. Just call them a misogynist or a sexist or a whatever phobe you want. Numbers, and we can see them dropping. We can see it hemorrhaging readers every month, and IDW doesn't care. They're not going to fix the book. They're not going to put it in a new direction because they've attached their religion to this book, their religion of progressivism, their religion of whatever, their ideology, and they will not betray their ideology. So the book, they would sooner let the book die than admit that maybe their ideology isn't what people want to read. And here we are. So for all the people out there who've been waiting for 16 issues, which is almost a year and a half for this book to turn around, it's not going to turn around. It's not going to be the way it used to be. Jennica is not going away. Jennica is not even going to be sidelined as a side character. It's going to continue being Jenica's book until it gets canceled and there's no more TMNT for anybody.
Well, the good thing for IDW sort of is that there are enough people that probably have full TMNT collections that even if the comic's bad, they buy it just to keep the collection going. I think you might be doing something similar to that.
Yeah, and this is going to be the end of that for me. So I realized when I took that photo for this stream that I'm not enjoying these books anymore. I don't care about Jenica's Soup Kitchen and Battle of the Bands. And why am I buying something that I don't enjoy anymore? I used to buy bad Ninja Turtles comics that I didn't enjoy because I had my website and I'd review them and I'd summarize them and I'd catalog them, but I don't do that anymore. I'm buying them out of habit, and that's it. I'm not going to buy the book anymore. I can't keep supporting something I don't enjoy, and I certainly can't keep throwing my money away just to maintain a complete collection that I don't have any reason to even collect anymore since I don't have my website. There is The Last Ronin, and I know a lot of people are going to bring that up, and The Last Ronin is good. Thing, though, is that The Last Ronin is not a part of the IDW Ninja Turtles continuity. It's more of a Mirage thing by Eastman and Laird, and it's separate. It's good, and I recommend that. If you want some Ninja Turtle action, go pick up Last Ronin. And I didn't collect the numbers on Last Ronin because it came out during the whole lockdown thing, and I couldn't find reliable numbers. But we all know that those books
like 120,000 for issue number 1.
It was insane. They went through several printings. Like, that book's a powerhouse. It should be sending the message that the book that's selling 12,000 copies or less, or the book that's selling 100,000 copies and getting multiple printings, which one is the avenue that IDW should go down? But still, they're sticking with Jennica's Soup Kitchen and Battle of the Bands because that's their ideology. Now, if you've been reading the IDW comic from the start, this is really frustrating because you're invested in that continuity, in that storyline. In alternate universe continuity, that doesn't solve the problem. You want to read more about this universe that you've been reading for the past 10 years, these characters and their storylines. Alternate universe versions are fun, but they're not part of that. Like the Batman TMNT series, with the exception of Volume 2, was really good, but it wasn't part of the IDW continuity. I really, really enjoyed the Ninja Turtles Power Rangers crossover. That was excellent. It wasn't part of the IDW continuity either, though. The only 2 books that are part of the IDW continuity are the main book and the Jennica spinoff, and they're awful. And if you want the IDW continuity to go back to the way it used to be, it's not going to happen. I had a bunch of screen caps from issues of the IDW Ghostbusters book making fun of that character Holtzman that I forgot to play, but now it's out of context because I've already talked about Ghostbusters.
That's no worries.
Yeah. So, but that's kind of my point, is the book's not good anymore. The book's not going to get better. You can put your money into the books you care about, that you do want to support, like Last Ronin. The problem is that isn't going to send a message to IDW that this is the book we want to read. Could you please make IDW the way it used to be when it sold better and when we read it and enjoyed it? That's not a message that gets through to IDW, and it never will. This is the Jennica show.
From other TMNT fans, are they experiencing the same issues?
Yeah. So there's a forum. I think it's the oldest Ninja Turtles forum that's still around. It's called the Technodrome Forums, and I've been reading the threads there. And I know I'm sounding like I'm just absolutely just dogpiling on Campbell and trashing them. They are a fantastic. I liked them when they did the covers for.
Very good.
Oh, excellent! I mean, when they first showed up doing the Leonardo micro series, which is like the first year of the IDW books, excellent. And even before that, Campbell did covers for Mirage for Raphael Bad Moon Rising. Just great character designer, great artist, just not a great writer. They've had plenty of practice, and maybe they're good at writing what they know. And if it's slice of life, slow burn, sitcom-y stuff, that's great. But that should be in a different book, or at the very least, that should be the Jennica miniseries. What's in the TMNT ongoing right now is what should be in a spin-off miniseries. That's not what the TMNT ongoing should be.
What are the forums saying? Are they pissed
on the
off
forums? They are expressing their frustrations, but they're being very polite about it because Campbell does post on those forums. So, and that's the thing too, is that even in the face of all that open criticism, Campbell still goes to those forums and talks to those people, and I really do think that that's an admirable thing. We see so many Dan Slots and people like that who are just combative and nasty and block people and won't even associate with anybody who's even mildly critical of their work. So, congrats to Campbell for going online and engaging in discourse with their critics. Not a consolation to me, who's not enjoying their work, but I do respect that they're willing to talk to people about it. But yeah, fans are losing their patience. The book's hemorrhaging readers every month, and it's not going to get any better. It's, for me, for someone who's been collecting these since issue 1, I'm stopping. The Last Ronin will be probably the last IDW Turtles comics I buy. I might pick something up in trade paperback later on if it gets good reviews and looks interesting, but for buying monthlies, I think I'm done.
Yeah, I jumped off at 103.
Oh, yeah.
It was like the third issue. I was like, this is what it is. And I've jumped back in a few times, and every time it's like, wow, it got worse.
That's the thing, is that there's a lot of, there are interesting pieces in that story. since number 100, like Baxter Stockman running for mayor. But that's still not going anywhere. The idea of Hobbs setting off the mutagen bomb and turning all these humans into mutants, like that could be interesting, but not 16 consecutive issues of soup kitchens and Battle of the Bands kind of crap. And Shredder's back, that's really cool, but it's still taking so long, and it's slower than the book used to be. Even when the book was at its absolute peak, it was still really slow. Like, this is like Teenage Mutant Ninja Snails. It is so slow, and it's just not worth $4 a month anymore.
Nah, not at all. I'd rather just spend $8 on The Last Ronin.
Right?
Hey, you don't get all the turtles there too, but at least you get a pretty good story.
Exactly. Now, I guess I don't really have too much else to say. That's just kind of me getting it off my chest. IDW, read The Last Ronin. You don't have to abandon IDW completely because The Last Ronin's still there. But what are you going to do when The Last Ronin is over? Are you going to go back to the Jennica show, or are you just going to be done with IDW Ninja Turtles? I know I'm going to be done.
They're taking long enough. There might be a spin-off series. You never know. Mark, I do want to say thank you very much for coming on here and talking TMNT. Something I know you're very passionate about, and it sucks that we're all experiencing these same frustrations.
Yeah, and heck, I mean, if you're new to Ninja Turtles out there are a lot of trade paperbacks and hardcover collections of the Mirage stuff. They were putting out TMNT Urban Legends, which was the Image series, which I really enjoyed. So this is always my recommendation to folks out there. If you don't like the new comics being put out of your favorite franchises, there are decades and decades of past content that's collected and you can explore and discover. My frustration is that I've already read it all. I've already read all the Archie and Mirage and Image TMNT comics, so I've got nowhere else to go. But for the rest of you out there who haven't read it all, go and find some Mirage comics, some Archie comics, some Image comics, and find some good Ninja Turtle content that does appeal to you. It's out there.